Assalamualaikum and a very good evening to everyone. Today we will be presenting on our topic, the Ituri conflict issue and ICC jurisdiction. We are from group 12. This is my group member. We are from group 12. ATHIRAH IZZATI, NAJWA ESAFINA, IZZUN NAJIHA, NISA ARNIDA and NURUL NAJIRA. Okay, for the introduction. Ituri conflict is a major ethnic group tension between agriculturalist Lendu and pastoralist Hema. The conflict was started in 1972. However, the Ituri conflict itself, the name itself was revived between 1999 and 2003. Okay, I will be passing to my teammate.
Okay, now we move to objective 1, which is to identify whether the crime committed is under ICC jurisdictions. So in the Article 5 of the Rome Statute mentioned the ICC jurisdiction to handle the 4 crimes, namely war crimes, crimes against humanity, crimes of genocide, and crimes of aggressions. So the Ituri conflict mainly concerns war crimes and crimes against humanity. And following the Democratic Republic of Congo ratified the Rome Statute in April 2002, which allowing the ICC to investigate the conflict matter. And Article 12 of the Rome Statute clarifies ICC jurisdiction pertaining to crimes committed in the state party, which means that whether the crime committed in state party territory or involve national offender. Rome Statute mentioned the state party might refer to the prosecutor to investigate the crime along with the relevant circumstances and accompanied by supporting documentations. So thus clearly that the ICC has jurisdiction over the Ituri conflict, and the Rome Statute has given the ICC power to investigate or intervene in any related crimes in the state party. Now I handing over the baton to the next presenter.
My name is ATHIRAH binti MOHAMAD. Today I will present about objective 2 to analyze the request created by the ICC. So, the first person, he is the first person that been arrested under a warrant issued by the ICC. His trial began on 30 January 2009, and later, trial chamber 1 of the ICC found that he guilty on 14 March 2012 as a co-perpetrator of the war crimes conscripting and enlisted children under the age of 15 into the FPLC and using them to participate actively in hostilities between September 2002 and August 2003. So he was sentenced to a full 14 years imprisonment on 10 July 2012. So during the early review in October 2015, Lubanga pleaded that ICC judges to grant him early release, but judges decided to not reduce Lubanga's sentence after finding that there have been factors in favor of his early release since they found no evidence that he had certainly dissociated from his crime. In 18 July 2019, the trial chamber held Mr. Lunga was liable for reparation to the sum of USD 10 million in respect of 455 victims. And he liable for reparation and any other victims who may be spotted. So after being his 14 years sentence, Lubanga was released on 15 March 2020. Next slide. Okay, the second convict is German Katanga. So he was being surrounded by the colonies authorities to the ICC to trial on 6 war and 3 counts of crime against humanity, include murder, rape, sexual slavery, and directing crimes against civilians, and so on. So he was found guilty by a 2-1 decision on 7 March 2014 of 4 counts of war crime and 1 count of crimes against humanity committed on 24 February 2003 during the attack on the village of Bogoro in the DRC's Ituri district. So on 23 May 2014, Katanga was sentenced to 12 years imprisonment, and the time he spent in detention at the ICC between 2007 and 2014 was deducted from the sentence. So on to the 24 March 2017, an order granted individual and collective reparation to victims of crimes committed by German Katanga was issued by Trial Chamber 2 of the ICC. So the judges paid a symbolic compensation of USD 250 per person to 297 victims, including mutual reparation in the form of housing assistance, education help, and victim generating activities and psychology support. The next person is Bosco Natanga. Okay, he was wanted by the International Criminal Court (ICC) for the war crimes of enlisted and conscription children under the age of 15 and using them to participate actively in hostilities. So Taganda voluntarily handed himself into the United States Embassy in Rwanda on 18 March 2013 and was taken into custody by the ICC on 22 March 2013. So in addition to FEDAW, on 8 July 2019, Trial Chamber 4 of the ICC found Mr. Bosco Taganda guilty for 18 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity committed in Ituri, Democratic Republic of the Congo, in 2002 to 2003, including murder and attempt murder, torture, rape, deliberate directing to attacks on civilians, forcible transfer and expulsion, directing of violence attack. So on 7 November 2019, Victor Bosco Taganda was sentenced unanimously by Trial Chamber 4 of the ICC to a total of 30 years in jail. So this sentence will be deducted from the time Mr. Taganda spent in custody at the ICC from 22 March 2013 to 7 November 2019. So the verdict is currently subject to appeals. So I pass the next agenda.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. I'm going to explain the challenge and consequences in time of the conflict that faced by civilians. So the conflict of Ituri had given a big impact towards its civilians and had resulted a lot of death and displacement of tens of thousands of people over time. One of the reasons for the conflict is actually from the lack of real authority in that region to competitions among armed groups for control of natural resources in that area. The main conflict started from 1999 and still ongoing until now, but in minimalism till date. Next, Lendu militants attack on civilians and government forces such as rape, arson, and looting due to the agreement to ceasefire in 2008 and slowly began to disband after the FARDC began operations against them. All of inhabitants supposed to be given options to choose, but they have been forced to choose sides and targeted to be attacked just because they were accused had been associated with either HEMA or Lendu groups. In early September 2002, Lendu combatants slaughtered about 1,200 people of the HEMA and related groups in Nyakunde. The human rights workers did not able to access rural Ituri in order to collect information about specific massacres of civilians. Indeed, it was a challenging one, as about 10-day period, the killers dragged victims from their homes and murdered patients found in beds at a missionary hospital. In addition, they also recruit a group of children as young as 7 years old for military service. In December 2017, nearly 1,000 people dead and 500,000 displaced in the northeast of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Until today, mostly assailants and are recruited from within the Lendu community and brought together in an association of militias and the Cooperative for the Development of the Congo ensure the different from previous conflict which Lendu leaders distance themselves from these militias. Despite from that, Hamas did not respond to any systematic reprisals, but they do not rule out mobilizing their youth if attacks continue. Still, Lendu militants continue to expand.
Okay, so hi, my name is NAJIRA. So I will be presenting about analysis. So the people were killed mercilessly to rape, torture, and much more, as we can see in the cases stated in Objective 2. So rape has been a common thing among the young men who are growing up during the conflict, and it was also admitted by the male citizens. Women are also pushed to become their economic drivers, and some even sold sexual favors to support their household. Ordinary people possess weapons and use it to solve personal matters and ethnic conflicts. Jurisdiction to temporal jurisdiction rationale temporis according to Article 11 and Article 24, bracket 1. Next slide. So the complementary principle can create an obstacle for the court to prosecute for such offence, such as genocide. Mr. Lubanga was tried domestically in Congo. The acknowledgement of lack of an enforceable obligation under the law to exercise national criminal jurisdiction. The appeals chamber justified self-referrals in the Katanga case. The complementary theory disclaims joint prosecution of the same person and the same conduct. Mr. Lubanga was granted an arrest warrant by the court for another offence, namely the recruitment of and the use of children to engage actively in hostilities. So the Ituri conflict has yet to end when the conflict had revived in 2017 with the attacks that caught people off guard, overwhelmed local authorities and support agencies, killed hundreds of mostly Hamas civilians.
Okay, my name is hi, I'm Nisa, and I will be proceed on criticism. Okay, regarding to the Rome Statute that have been ratified by the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, we agreed that ICC was legally have power and authority over the settlement of the Ituri conflict, as this matter was related to war crimes and crimes against humanity, which is relate to ICC jurisdiction core crimes. Though the conflict was happening between two ethnic groups from the same country, but eventually it has threatened the national security. And we believe that it must be referred to the international court to be adjudicated faithfully. In addition, due to the incapability of the domestic court, the ICC has been chosen in the context of admissibility under complementarity principle, which determine ICC's right to prosecute the case when the state court was unable to resolve it. This was the first ever ICC adjudication of war crimes, and it has been regarded as a reference to many criminal proceedings afterwards. Okay, next slide. Okay, based on this conflict circumstances, we accepted that it has impacted its civilians wholly. The DRC civilian wholly, which resulted to massive death of the people of this country. We believe that the lack of government authority in administration have eventually affected them and incite rebellions to have control over the land resources, which has caused this conflict to be occurred. On top of that, this violence have especially dragged the DRC government into a bad condition to be overcome when its people was attacking each other bluntly and used sexually violence as a weapon of war, which has frightened out the inhabitants. As the conflict between these two ethnic groups have been continued until nowadays, we argue that something should be done by the government in order to make peace over its people to secure its national security from getting worse, which caused by internal dispute. Overall, we found that this conflict has complicated the development of the RC. Yet until today, the government was secret and unwelcome. The government should facilitate some provision and agreement between those disputing parties in order to measure better management and administration over the state. This action would clearly benefit them in many ways, while saying good government create good civilians. The head of the nation should be more gracious toward its citizens if he wanted to secure support and trust from the root. In the other words, the government should be involved in all matters that are happening in its country, no matter whether it's related with them or not. It should have a little bit concerns over them. Okay. In conclusion, it has extremely left large majority violence that have been perpetrated by the civilians. Tons of previous conflict between the HAMID and Lendu have resulted to a long-standing grievance and affected badly towards their peaceful settlement to be made. The long-lasting war seems to be difficult to be settled between them as they both have used different representation and approaches. As a result, their armed conflict, which has started since the early of 1972, has been continued to happen until this present day. That's all from us. Thank you.